Hello and welcome to the Comedy Slab. I think it's episode 118. 118. Wasn't that one of those dialer phone things? But anyway, I am Adrian Lacey. I'm speaking to you from the southeast of England in the worshipful county of Kent. And the Shanester is scraping glasses by the sound of things. Is that your purple?
It was my swizzle stick moving in my purple. Hang on, I'm going to write that down. It's a good lyric for a song.
Well, it's an image I don't really want to retain for too much longer. Anyway, Shane O'Connor is in the English Midlands. So between us, we are the Comedy Slobs, and we put comedy on to the slab. And we once put it against the cold marble. We dissect it and prod it a bit and see what we make of it, be it TV, radio, or internet comedy. This week we have a show called Stand Up for Live Comedy, available as we speak for around 11 months on BBC iPlayer, certainly in the UK. And this is series one of one, as far as I know at the moment, episode 3. And the reference to live comedy as if it's a novelty is because it is exactly a novelty, sadly, under what has been lockdown or semi-lockdown, depending on which part of the UK or indeed elsewhere in the world you are. We'll get to that in just a mo, but first, I suppose it ought to be a minute's silence, but we don't have that long. I don't have the patience for Aston Villa, who sadly died this evening as I'm speaking.
Died a horrible death, didn't they?
Your dreams died. We delayed the recording of the show. And is it hard to pick yourself up from a 3-0 thrashing, which I think is the only term that could be used by Leeds?
Whenever they get flattened, they always tweet, we pick ourselves up and we go again. So I presume I've picked myself up and we're ready to go again, I suppose. Yeah, that's their thing.
Ready for the next thrashing.
Yes. Well, we've had seasons like that, I can tell you. My first words when we reconnected, Adrian and I, tonight was, why did you let me sit through that?
I like the way it's my fault if your team gets beat.
Anyway, I've got some comedy news for you, which is something that is kind of fresh in our minds, I think, at the moment as well. That Michael Sheen and David Tennant thing that we slabbed a couple of episodes ago, staged. Give us a second series. It's got a second series.
Well, there's a thing. Now, I wasn't as enthused about it as you, but I still think it's a good thing that the more comedy that's made, the more likely it is I'll find something I like. And no, I did find that that plenty to like about it. Any hints as to whether they're going to do anything different with it? Obviously, they're going to remain in some kind of lockdown, I imagine.
Isn't Michael Sheen in Wales?
Yeah, not a great place to be as we speak, is it, in terms of freedom of movement?
You can't buy a toaster in the supermarket now, apparently. Is the latest thing that's come out of it. To stop the virus spreading, they've stopped people buying microwaves. That'll sort it out, won't it?
Definitely.
But... you said I was more enthusiastic than you. Actually, we both gave it a 3.
I think my 3 was a kind 3. Yours was an unkind 3, given the fact that you appeared to like it more.
Mine was a begrudging 3. Or yours was a begrudging 3, and mine was an enthusiastic 3. So,
there's numbers and there's numbers, aren't there?
I'm quite surprised it's got a second series. I'll be honest with you. I'm not going to lie. I thought it was a kind of do that and leave it there, but. Hey, what do I know? I'm not really quite sure. I don't know. I mean, in terms of where you go with it without doing more of the same, that is the difficulty, isn't it? That's the hard part. Do you remember what was the Steve Mangan thing we watched? The
Hang-ups.
Yes.
Therapy via online.
Yeah, Skype or FaceTime or whatever it was. Again, that kind of, that premise, you can probably get 6 episodes out of it. Where you go in the second series is the $64,000 question, isn't it? Really, so. I don't know. I'm very mindful that this was the same kind of, the similar kind of premise in a way.
Although with speech, you can tell stories about anything. So with your imagination, with the writer's imagination, you can go anywhere verbally. It might make the case for my favourite medium, the one I call the beautiful medium, in the same way that you would call football the beautiful game, although possibly not as we speak. Sorry, I mustn't enjoy your pain. I am utterly neutral about football, knowing nothing about it.
I'm just numb now. Actually, I'm in the numb stage, so you can do what you like. It doesn't.
I thought you meant you were numbing your way through some popcorn or something.
No, you can't hurt me with your jibes.
Okay. No, I love you all. I love Aston Villa fans and Leeds fans equally, although I probably shouldn't do that in front of you.
You see, one of the things that we miss by only picking an episode, is that I was just reading a press release about this, and it said, following on from the surprise appearances in Series 1 of Judi Dench and Samuel L. Jackson. Well, are they being comedic, or did that really happen? Because it passed us by, didn't it? Because we didn't watch that episode.
Yes, I wonder if they're being comedic. I don't know. In a way, you wouldn't joke about such things. I mean, they are big names they've already got, aren't they?
Yeah, Samuel L. Jackson, though. I mean, he's got form of doing that sort of thing, hasn't he, with Ricky Gervais? So
yeah,
he was in extras, so he will, if he likes it, he will turn up and do it, kind of thing. He's not an aloof A-lister, is he? In that sense, I don't get the sense that he is anyway. If he likes the script, he'll give it a kick.
Yeah, but in a Skype sense, you haven't even got to turn up, have you?
No, I did wonder whether the BBC, thought, "Oh, this is cheap to make."
Well, yeah, this could be the future. Heaven help us.
Cheap and easy in a way, So maybe it's that's part of the thing.
Although when you see the credits, you realise no one has taken voluntary redundancy that I could see in terms of roles. It looked as if it was as big a deal in terms of production complexity as anything else on our screens.
Yeah. Well, all the money's been saved in local telly and local radio now, isn't it? So that's where all the redundancies are going. So
yeah, 'twas ever thus. Radio taking disproportionate hits, certainly in the Beeb.
I don't know. It'd be interesting to see. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I'm the completest of the gang, and I've not had the chance to sit down. It didn't thrill me that much. We're giving it a 3. It didn't thrill me that much to go and say, "Oh, I've got to go and watch the rest of this." It's diamond, So I don't know.
I'm slightly saddened by that, not least because you're my filter through which I watch lots of things that I don't actually watch. So I'd just refer to you. Not that I trust your judgment, clearly. That would be ridiculous.
I'm basically your comedy monkey, aren't I?
It needs 38 of you typing away, and eventually you'll come up with a decent script.
Yeah.
Right, so shall we move to the show in question, which, as I say, is Stand Up for Live Comedy, Series 1, Episode 3. Find it on BBC iPlayer. Now, I'll get a headline from you the other side of clip number 1, which we will hear in a moment. But yes, you do the Brummie accent like. I can at least ask you, did your heart beat a bit faster, a bit more excitedly when I mentioned the fact it was in Birmingham?
No.
Okay.
No, not really. I don't know whether I'm in the minority as a Brummie. But because and this is always since I've been a kid, because there is relentless mickey taking about the Birmingham accent, and generally people from Birmingham are portrayed as thick or slow, or not particularly dynamic in the best sense of all of it. I kind of have an inner embarrassment about the Birmingham accent when I hear it anywhere. So no, I didn't. So it kind of fills me with dread more than anything, really.
Well, that's a real shame, and that's a real confession.
Yeah, but it's true. I mean, that's how I've always felt like that as a kid, which is why when I used to do radio shows, I used to call myself Effin O'Connor and talk like that.
Like Michael Sheen.
They always used to say that, Effin O'Connor. But no, yeah, I did. That's just my thing. I don't know whether I'm in the minority. As I say, I don't know whether a lot of Brummies would, if they were here now, would be all going, yeah, or you fool, you a mad fool.
But I have to say, you Brummers, you're complicit in it in that you send yourselves up. So which came first? You being sent up by other parts of the nation or the world, or deciding, actually, we're going to be a bit on the back foot here, like?
So isn't that the equivalent, the verbal equivalent of saying, well, they were wearing a short skirt. What did they expect?
Well, I did wonder if there was a read across. I don't particularly want to go down that alley, if I may use that term.
I'm being horrible, really.
You're a horrible man.
But it just shows you the double standard, doesn't it? If you're a protected species, it's fine to stand up and say, oh, this is awful. Whereas if you're being persecuted because you're from Birmingham, or you're bald, or ginger, or Welsh, then it's okay. So that's the double standard that we live in today, unfortunately. So
and unfortunately, I'm all of those things as well.
You are
bald and ginger. You couldn't have it worse, really.
Didn't even mention the halitosis, did I? You know what I mean? So.
No. Well, they can't smell it from here, hopefully.
No.
Let's have our clip number one, just to get a feel. All it will give us is a feel for that particular act.
Quick, before you melt my headphones with your breath. Go on, hurry up.
Must be that smoked salmon I had this morning with scrambled eggs. It scrambled my brain as well. The MC, the Master of Ceremonies, is Darren Harriott. Oh, I should say, help me out here with the geography then. Within the region of the West Midlands, they mention, or Darren mentions, Digbeth.
Digbeth, yeah.
See, are you laughing at the concept of Digbeth? Is that, like, if you're from Birmingham, you can look down on Digbeth, or Digbeth within Birmingham?
No, Digbeth is like kind of an inner city area.
Right.
It used to house the coach station, which was an abomination at one stage. It was just the most miserable black hole of a building that coaches used to go into, and they're not sure that they ever came out again.
Never come out again.
Yeah. And people
like the Bermuda Triangle of the National Express.
And people are going nuts because they go, oh, is this the best that we... And it was like kind of out of the city, and you have to walk up a big hill to get to the city from Digbeth. So it's... And it does... The Irish Centre's in Digbeth. And the custard factory, the old Bird's custard factory, which is now a centre for arts. It's a kind of area that's been regenerated, but it wasn't the best of places. A lot of history.
I think they should have a right of reply, but
there's nobody lives in Digbeth really. It's not really. It's not. No. It's all offices, bus stations, and churches and stuff like, and old buildings like that. It's old factories. It's not a residential area. I don't think there are many people that live in Digbeth.
You can't have offended too many people, which makes a change.
Oh, I don't know.
All right. Okay, well, we're going to hear a clip from the first of three acts. That's not counting Darren, who was linking the show. I have to say, Digbeth looked fine on screen, and that's all that matters to me as a TV viewer with my narrow view of the world. What to say about Bella Hull? Well, she makes a reference to Sarah Silverman at one point in her act, and if you don't know Sarah Silverman, I'm sure you can YouTube her. And this is actually quite a Sarah Silverman-y type of we've got here, which is quite a bit of status stuff going on, and I think it explains itself really. So see whether you like Bella Hull.
Like after my parents got divorced, my dad had to really adapt his parenting style. Like instead of telling me I had to be a doctor every day, he could only tell me on Wednesdays and Fridays after school, in the presence of a mediation counsellor. But when you grow up with a foreign parent, it's like quite strange, and the way that you consume media and TV is quite different. And I would always watch TV as a kid and think to myself, oh, maybe one day I could be like the Portuguese Ellen DeGeneres, or like the Portuguese Sarah Silverman, or even, I could be a bit more hands-on and be like the Portuguese Bill Cosby. But ultimately, we all have to grow up and learn lessons about life that are difficult to learn. And for me, that hard lesson was that I'm just not Portuguese. Such a bore, you know. I'm actually mixed race. My mum is white and my dad's brown, but my mum remarried a white guy and moved to Henley-on-Thames when I was 13, which means now when I visit their house, people just kind of assume that I'm the cleaner. And I have cleaned them of all of their money, so in a way, I am.
I like the Portuguese gag, although I did see it coming from quite a distance away. But, you know, very often those kind of gags, you can get away with that, can't you? There's the anticipation of where it's actually going to finally rest and land.
What threw me was that the first thing she said about herself was that Bella's an Italian name. So I immediately thought, well, she's Italian, so why is she talking about
being Portuguese?
I didn't go down that route with her.
Yeah, you paid attention too much, didn't you? Quite obviously, that's your trouble. My headline is, sit down, you're embarrassing yourself.
Does that apply to all of them or just to her?
Well, I'll elaborate, but as a stand up for live comedy, sit down, you're embarrassing yourself was my headline. But yeah, I mean, I don't know how do you want to sort of talk about each individual or the sum of the parts or both or?
Well, let's deal with Bella for now. Am I right in guessing that you might have found her little chuckle annoying?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I could feel your angst even without you being there or me seeing your reaction to it.
I spent all my time bristling. I think that was. Did it get you as well or not? Or did you?
I parked it after a while. I thought, oh right, well that is your trademark. You're doing that. I'm going to have to accept that. It's a funny one, but funny peculiar rather than funny ha ha.
Yeah.
Strange. It's actually quite an old school thing done in a sort of newish way. It's a nervous laugh, but you know, actually she's quite cocky, so it's not nervous. So it's a performance, and so it doesn't quite convince, I'm afraid, for me. I mean, we should preface most of this by saying, well, I will. I can't speak for you, but I didn't feel they were trying to appeal much beyond their own age group. So I don't feel excluded, but neither do I feel particularly included.
And here's the thing, and you're right, and I would completely agree with you on that one. Here's the thing with that, that I have a number of questions hanging over the whole production of this thing, which kind of outweigh the skills or limitations or however you felt about the comedians therein, because you kind of think, for goodness sake, give them a fighting chance before you even... So, you know, they managed to... Whoever produced it managed to kind of decimate the live feel, I felt. It felt like really stayed, really recorded. I was amazed that they let some of the material die on its bottom, for want of a better phrase. But I mean, some of it just got no laughs at all, and particularly her Bella Hull. I mean, she did a couple of gags, and they just... You could hear the crickets at the back, couldn't you? You know, it was that bad. And I thought, why have they left that in? Why? I mean, even, you know, if you're recording it, go back for the poor girl and say, oh, let's do that. And then what I couldn't fathom was that, and I thought, well, maybe the producers didn't like her, was that the laughter sounded like a laughter track, or certainly enhanced by a laughter track. And I kind of thought, well, why didn't they put the bloody laughter track in there where nobody's laughing at her? Did you get any sense of any of that, or was I just in a world of my own again?
No, you weren't, but I'm not 100% with you. Firstly, it was quite clever, actually, in terms of timing. There was one, quote, gag that Bella did. It was about her dad trying to get back in touch with her or something, and nobody laughed. And then she said, I didn't find that funny either. Don't worry. Sort of
and
thing.
Nobody laughed again. That was the killer for me.
The second time. I thought
No,
they did.
that was it. And I was like, oh God, twice. It was like, you know.
Well, she was completely unruffled, or certainly her exterior. I'll ignore the fact you're sucking on a swizzle stick. We can see each other. It's not often you get to say that. Keep it in, it got to laugh. Stop it. Anyway, sadly, we have to see each other purely for timing purposes. As you can hear, dear listeners, not working at all. But the theory is we we tread on each other slightly less if we could see each other's visage, thanks to Mr. and Mrs. Skype.
And also, he doesn't believe it's a swizzle stick in my mouth, so it just cuts all that out as well, doesn't it? But
there was an oddity with the laughter, and as a soundboard, I will say, and I always want to try and be compassionate to sound colleagues, because I don't know the background, don't know why it's this, but I could hear some mono laughs coming through, listening on stereo headphones at that stage.
Yeah.
Some mono laughs coming through, bang in the middle, low level, and then everything sort of exploded into glorious stereo. I'm wondering if the mono laugh was just off the back of the artist's mic, or anyway, I don't know the story, but I observed it.
That's why I said I think it was a laughter enhanced track. My final point on the audio.
Well, no, I'm not agreeing with you on that. I'm saying I don't know the full story.
Oh, okay. But my final point on the production, I think it's my final point on the production, was that exact point that you said about how you felt that, I mean, this is the trouble with the younger generation, or this is the great thing about the younger generation. I mean, it depends whether you're the younger generation or not, but there is a supreme confidence that they have now, and a supreme entitlement that I think we never had as youngsters, and so I don't have any doubt that the artists will think that they are the funniest thing since wobbly sliced bread. But the problem that you have is that they're saying unashamedly we're playing for this age group, but then when they cut to the audience, they were all our age.
But someone said to me years ago, I mean decades ago, and would have been about is my age. He said we like arrogance in our performers. He was actually commenting on my lack of swagger in what was then sort of radio audition tapes, and that's quite a hard thing to hear. But I don't think that's changed really. That I mean, and certainly in the bear pit that is comedy, you have got to have a bit of swagger in your walk. What is fascinating for me is to see how that there are more female acts now, and that there is some swagger there. Whereas my recollection is that women in the past, well, you think of someone like Helen Lederer, it was very much on the back foot. It's almost like whether or not you liked her act, but dear listener, the faces he's pulling here. Putting me off my stroke, love.
Sorry.
But the point was, I mean, I'm not sure that was her act, and I've actually met her, and she isn't like that. But the fact is, it's almost like women in the past had to behave like, oh, we don't really belong in this man's club, when it was overwhelmingly male. Your favourite topic when I get on a roll with that. What I should say before we go any further is I've picked out some of the cleaner material from Dear Bella Hull. There's adult material in there, and indeed throughout the show to varying degrees. So it's a PG, parental guidance or equivalent on iPlayer. We are going to try and keep it clean here, as you've heard thus far, and we'll try and keep it that way. But this is like what did it used to be called? A U trailer advertising an X film. So take that how you will. What do we think of? Well, Darren happens to be a black artist, but he was talking about coming from the black country. I don't know if he's following through for the whole series or whether they pick someone from the locale. I guess the MC is probably from the locality.
Probably the latter, isn't it? Yeah, I liked him. Yeah. I thought that little riff that he did on the black country. Two things about that is, one, I really liked it. I thought it was really funny, and I'd never really heard anybody expand on that in a comedy routine before. And the second thing is, I would bet you a lot of money that really happened to him, because we do think, people in the Midlands think that everybody in the world knows what the black country is, and that was the whole riff of this, wasn't it? Is that he's a black guy. And they'd say, where are you coming from? And he said, as enthusiastic as you like. I go, I'm from the black country. And he said they're trying to figure out what part of Africa I'm referring to. He said, because
Yes.
and I didn't help myself when he said, well, who else comes from the Black Country? Lenny Henry.
Yeah, I saw that gag coming, but I still enjoyed it.
I did as well.
Generally, I mean, I liked his voice, I liked his energy level, enthusiasm. There is a problem. There's a challenge for every MC, which is particularly if you're he is quite a high energy guy, but if you're a sort of more downbeat, ironic, laconic, however you want to style it, MC, you've then suddenly got to switch from that to say, and you're going to love this next act. They're marvellous. I've worked with them before. He said that for each of them.
He did, didn't he? Yeah, he said they were fantastic. He worked with them before, and I thought, are you talking about rehearsals now, or what? I don't know.
yeah. Earlier this afternoon, I met Bella Hull.
Yes, yeah. But I mean, I don't know whether he's ever done that role before or what. I thought he acquitted himself quite comfortably. I thought he was good. He was one that I thought he was one of two that I thought I would actually like to see him do more. And although I did think of you with some of his material when he was suggesting that only poor people travel on coaches was one of the things that he said, and I thought, well, that's very, as Adrian would say, very punching down rather than punching up. The poor people who can only afford a ticket for a coach. It's disgusting. And I thought it was a cheap shot trying to suggest that the police are racist. That's bandwagon jumping for me. I thought he could have done without doing that. I didn't think he did himself a very good service by doing it. But other than that, you're right. I thought the guy, his energy was about right. He wasn't trying to steal the show. His material was good. His delivery was good. It was lovely to hear somebody say babbies instead of babies, because that's a big Birmingham thing. How old are your babbies?
Right.
But I'm not sure how well that travels outside of the area or outside of the conurbation. I don't know. I mean, you tell me. Kent boy.
Well, let's just say they don't appear to have visited Kent, so maybe we haven't got a sense of humour down here.
Right.
But I wasn't put off by the term babbies. I have to confess, I don't remember him pronouncing it that way, but I'd probably be able to work out what he was talking about.
Right.
And yeah, there's no point getting a local act and then not giving him or her any freedom to actually be a bit local.
Yeah.
Otherwise, why are you doing it? I should just say they are actually outdoors for reasons of coronavirus. They didn't look particularly spaced at tables, but you never know. I mean, with the rules changing every week, this was probably shot a few weeks, if not a couple of months, 3 months even ago. I don't know. They didn't look to be shivering. So it's. I'm quite sure the BBC will have done, or the producers, should say, production company, Phil McIntyre Television. Again, we were slabbing something of theirs recently. They'll have complied with whatever regs were current at the time.
I was going to say the one thing you were talking about, the geography of it, that disappointed me was that I was fully expecting, it was coming from Birmingham, for them all to be Birmingham acts, and to be from the area. I don't know whether Bella Hull was. Kima Bob, who was the third act on, was by around admission from Texas, which is probably sort of very, very far to the west of Birmingham, isn't it, really?
Yes, west of the west.
And I think the last, Chris Washington, I think he was, wasn't he? I think he was another... he was a Manchester lad, wasn't he?
Well, he made a reference to Wigan, so I think a Lancastrian accent.
Yeah,
so I've caused upset by placing people the wrong side of the Pennines and reigniting the Wars of the Roses.
I do it on purpose just to see if I can start it again, but I haven't been able to yet.
You are Mr. Mischief. Let's hear the second and final clip, because otherwise you might give away which act you like and whether you like this one or not. So without further ado...
Well, it'll be interesting to say, and do you want me to write it on a piece of paper? But it'd be interesting...
No, I think I can guess, and I think I will trust you, amazingly. It's not often you hear me say that.
It'll be interesting to see who you chose as the other clip, and I think I know who it is.
Oh, do you?
Yes, and I've just written it on a Post-it note, although I'm not sure I can read it. No, I've written it, but I'll try and write it. I did write...
Are you going to use that as the excuse when I don't say what you think?
No, I'm going to do it with better writing.
I think I'll surprise you.
Boo. Go on, then. Play the clip, Kent boy.
Okay, yes. And actually, this is right from the top of this person's act. So, see what I did there? Let's hear from this person.
Nice one. Good evening, Birmingham. How are we doing? We all right? Yeah. Cool. Not bad. Thanks for asking. Cheers. Cool. It's nice. This is good, isn't it? Back on the bloody telly. I'm privileged. I'll be honest, right? I got this news from my agent that I was getting on this TV show, and she said, it's a big opportunity. She rhymed all these comedians off who were doing it, and I got to be really honest, right? I didn't know any of them. Not because they're not good or famous or well known. Bit of a confession, right? Not really a big fan of stand-up comedy. Don't really like it. I like doing it. I just never watch it. Do you know what I mean? Like, if I want to, I like watching MasterChef, mate. And if I want to have a laugh, do you know what I do? Really, I go on YouTube and I type in on YouTube forklift truck fails. That's my favourite type of comedy. Dashcam road rage. That's what I'm into. My favourite one, and make sure you put this in on YouTube when you go home, type in American wife tasers husband. Beautiful. There will never be any stand-up as funny as that, I promise you.
Show me what you wrote down. I think you thought I was going to choose another female act.
Yeah, you're right. I did actually. I got it wrong.
So, Kima Bob, yeah.
Did you type in American wife tasers husband?
No, because I think on hearing it that time, I thought, I don't believe it, but it's still a good gag.
It's a thing.
It is a thing.
Yeah, it is a thing. It is actually. It's a stage. It's a very staged thing to try and get hits on a YouTube channel. But it is a thing nonetheless, where she wakes him up by tasing him.
It's not his
no
a channel.
No.
There was a brilliant one via Twitter the other day where this guy's singing his girlfriend awake because her alarm clock's failed. I think I tweeted it out on the Comedy Slab account. So look at Comedy Slab for that amusement. It's very funny. And then she stalks off and says, well, why can't you wake me like a normal person? Anyway, it's a bit of a giggle, except for her.
I thought this guy stole the show, Chris Washington.
Well, he was the last act, so traditionally you put the strongest act on, or what you believe to be the strongest act.
Yeah. Do you want to mention Kima Bob at all, or not?
Yes, definitely. Well, let's mention her now, and then come back to Chris and why that worked for both of us. I think Kima was possibly just a bit too right on for you, rather than just being funny.
I thought it wasn't funny. So I thought she was just dreadful. I thought it was just awful. It was just an excruciating, and not an awful. I don't mean nasty to her. I mean, I felt like inside that, I just want this to stop now. That pain you feel when you're watching somebody else embarrass themselves.
I do that this time every week.
Yeah,
working with you, darling.
I wonder why you looked at me like that. I didn't get a lot of it.
Yeah, but hang on. You've given her the cure. You've given her not a free pass, but she won't suffer because, according to you, she'll tell herself she's better than sliced bread. So you don't need to feel her pain because, according to you, she doesn't feel any.
Well, no, she doesn't. I'm feeling my pain on her behalf because she doesn't feel. I mean, quite obviously, because if I had that material, I wouldn't walk the steps. You know what I mean? I wouldn't.
Yeah, but it absolutely wouldn't be you. Hi, I'm from Texas.
No.
With a Brummie accent.
No, but all right, I'm from Birmingham. I tell you what I found with her is it's what I call, there's too much identity comedy in comedy these days. Now in stand up these days, is that you'll get a woman take to the stage and talk about being a woman, and you'll get a black guy takes the stage and talks about being what it's like to be a black guy, and this thing that and immediately for me that is that provides an exclusivity where you go, well, I can't relate to this, whereas the stuff with Darren Harriott at the start and he's comparing stuff. All right, I was at an advantage because I'm geographically based in the same place that he is, but I immediately related to the guy. Yeah. Because he wasn't doing stuff about being black or about any other stuff that he has that I don't have in common with him. And also when Chris Washington came on, the fact that he was from Lancashire and I'm from the Midlands, but there was a guy that I related to, not because he's white, not because he's whatever his sexuality is. And I think that's this identity comedy he's they're kind of killing their own act in a way, because people think, oh, I don't really get it. I can't relate to it. Is that bad of me to say that?
No, of course it's not. And look, when could anyone stop you from saying what you feel? I was just trying to choking on your own Vimto.
It's not Vimto, it's purple.
I was just trying to think. It is possible for someone to come on stage and be totally different to you. And I don't know. I was just trying to chew over, as you were saying that, whether that's the big deal. I mean, if someone's doing observational comedy, it does absolutely bomb, doesn't it? If they say, do you know when this happens and that happens, does it happen to you? And if your answer to all those questions is always no, then that bombs, that style of comedy. I mean, there was a... it sort of worked and it sort of didn't. I could see the point of it. Years ago, do you remember our LWT's answer to... Well, it was called Saturday Night Live, wasn't it? It was Friday Night Live and then it moved to Saturdays, and Ben Elton, certainly in the early days, yeah.
Chris Barry, I think, Craig Charles did a stint on it. There's loads of stuff on YouTube, the British Saturday Night Live, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, there was an attempt at a joke to say that a royal couldn't do observational comedy. Cut to someone playing the part of Prince Andrew before he was completely disgraced then, and saying, do you know what it's like to be in a carriage waving at everyone? And the joke was, no, we don't, because we're not royals. So kind of funny, but it was a bit of a laboured gag, and it felt a bit like Ben Elton working a bit too hard, if indeed it was written by him. I don't know. Maybe doing everyone a disservice. So I don't know. Other than that, I don't have to identify with everything about someone.
No, but I think it's not about identifying about them, and that's the point, isn't it? It's not about identifying about them. It's about identifying with the scenario that they put forward, and sadly, that's where comedy is made or broken. Really, is that you have to have that connection, that bond, that thing that you can kind of go, oh no, I don't know what it's like, but it must be terrible because I can go with you on that journey. I think it's unique to stand-up, isn't it? I think in terms of sitcoms, you could probably get away with it because people can immerse themselves in another world. It's like he was saying, and it really reminded me of radio. I hate radio. I didn't listen to radio when I was on the radio.
That's so you.
Not least the fact that because by the time I got home, I'd always finished. You know what I mean? So, but you kind of think with and he was saying, "Oh, I hate comedy. The last thing I want to do is listen to comedy."
That's a great way to start an act.
It's great, isn't it? Yeah.
It's either that or it's utterly suicidal if you can't carry it off. But he absolutely could. I mean, you heard his cheeky chappy style there, dear listener. And I think that was his greatest gift. Is just that ease of it's quasi conversation, because the thing is it's one-sided. In fact, he starts with a joke saying, oh, I'm all right too, thanks for asking.
Yeah.
I mean, immediately he's put a spotlight on the fact that we can't really converse with him.
Yeah.
So he's kind of broken the fourth wall, but then he repairs it and carries on like he's just another normal act. But yeah, what a beautiful gag. Yeah, I don't really like sitcom. Or you heard it in the clip. His agent puts himself forward and he doesn't recognise any of the names on the bill. I mean, that's quite dangerous in a way, isn't it?
Yeah, but again, he kind of, I think, it was such a Kemah Bob, and before that Bella Hull was such a difficult journey to go on. I think the crowd there as well were kind of like relieved that there was something that was more nearer the mainstream, perhaps. You could almost sense the relief in a way that there was somebody's actually going to come on and tell gags. Although, as I say, Darren Harriott, I thought really, really held it together, and I thought he did a good job at doing that. And I should imagine if he'd have done a set, he would have been equally as good.
Well, I'm a little bit more upbeat about it, because I just, the fact that it happened at all, given what we've gone through as a nation and vast tracts of the globe as well over the last few months, I came at it with it was in credit with me from the word go.
Right.
The fact that someone said, we must make this work. Because, what we said before, in this 1.57 billion fund for the arts, it turns out comedy is not considered an art. And it's nice to know some people believe in it. And hopefully thousands upon thousands have watched this as well. Whether or not they've felt similar to you or me doesn't matter in a way. Just live comedy has got to be kept alive. So it must be that time to give marks each out of 5 to this production. Do you want me to go first, or I can't remember who went first last time?
That was a very David Frost question. Do you want me to go first?
Let's turn it into Bruce.
The house come home.
Well, I'm going to give it 3 out of 5, and I rather suspect I'm going to be kinder than you. But it's hard to mark, isn't it? If you really like one act, or you like 2 acts, and you really don't like the other 2, that we're sort of lumping in Darren as the MC there as an act, which of course he is in one way. Are you still thinking about it? I see you chewing your lip.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I kind of, it was a good start. I felt it really, really cratered in the middle and then came back really strong at the end. And I think it would be harsh to give it anything less than. I'm going to go down the middle. I'll give it 2.5. I'm going to give it 2.5
Right.
Because I think the beginning and the end saved it. And if you were watching it, you could go and have a wee during the middle, couldn't you, or something?
Well, if like us, you're watching it for a second time and you know what's coming. Okay. So
it's the wee, do you mean? Or
moving swiftly on. So I don't usually do the maths because that's my downfall. But what's that? Is that 5.5 out of?
No, it's 5.5.
Oh, thank you. Yes, like I can't see through that one. Does that mean if there'd been 4 Chris Washingtons, that would have been 5 out of 5? That's the logic of how you've marked it, isn't it?
Yeah, I suppose it is. Yeah, in a way. Yeah, that was my pen that time, not a swizzle stick. Yeah, I suppose it is actually in a way if you think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we've just got to find a show with 4 very strong acts on. Super. Anyway, Cheeky, what have you got for me next week?
Well,
It's our homework.
If I said to you, Ricky Gervais.
Oh, I'm in.
Okay.
We've done extras, so it's not going to be that.
Right.
I'm wondering, it could be The Office. We could go retro, but I rather suspect it might be, is it Afterlife?
It is indeed, young man. It is indeed.
Young man.
Young man. Because I just think this is he does this so well, where he loads his comedy with drama. And I saw him do it with Derek. I don't know if you ever watched that, the series.
I did. I wasn't over enamoured, but I thought it was brave, and he's pushing himself. So yeah, but in a very academic way, I liked it, but I didn't actually like it.
And there's a huge conversation around afterlife, and all I ever see is people saying how life affirming it is for them. And I think it's a good one to do. So
paradoxically, given that it's more about, it's as much about death, isn't it, in a way, or loss?
Yeah, it is.
I haven't seen it, so I look forward to seeing it. Which series and which episode?
We'll go 1-1. We'll go right into that, so we know exactly where we are with it all. Like I say, if we haven't seen it, it's better that I've seen a couple of episodes. Strangely for me, but. So long ago that I can't, from series 1, I can't actually remember an awful lot about it. But should we go series 1, episode 1, and we know where we are. But Afterlife for next week.
Super duper. So I've already mentioned at Comedy Slab for twits, for little bits of amusement about people waking up slumbering girlfriends, and many more things besides. We're also at Comedy Slab. We have a Facebook page if you could like that, and also, of course, follow us on Twitter. That'd be fantastic. Personal recommendations always go down a storm, and if you could give us a generous rating if you're feeling that way inclined.
And don't forget, you can catch up with previous episodes of the Comedy Slab if that is the way that you want to get your kicks. That's up to you. They can't at the moment. They can't actually do you for it. So, fill your boots.
Not yet.
Not Not yet. Wait for it.
Wait till the legislation comes in.
Spreaker, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeart Radio, YouTube, you name it, we're there.
Anyway, I am going to dig Beth to get a coach from the 1970s, see if I can travel back in time, because it sounds like such a wonderful place to visit.
And I am, a bit like Chris Washington, going to go and put on my Fitbit. He said he runs in a funny way. He put on his Fitbit and went for a run, and it came up saying that he'd had a great swim. I can really relate to that, so I'm going to go off and do my funny run.
I look forward to seeing it. You unfit bit, you.